Marriage is one of the most important life decisions people make, yet many people go into it carrying ideas that may not reflect its deepest meaning. What if marriage is not just about love, romance, or social expectation? What if something greater and more eternal was intended from the beginning? Today, we look at marriage through the wisdom of the Bible and the life and teaching of Jesus Christ to understand its true purpose, where it came from, and why it still matters in our world today. So, let's investigate where marriage comes from and why it matters according to Scripture. Where does marriage come from? Marriage comes from the design and purpose of God in creation. According to the Christian understanding, marriage did not start from human culture, society, or government. It began when God created the first man and the first woman and joined them together as a lifelong partnership. The origin of marriage is found in the beginning of the Bible in Genesis. In the creation story, God made man and saw that it was not good for him to be alone. So God created woman as a suitable helper and brought her to the man. This was the first marriage union, showing companionship, love, and shared life under God's design. Marriage, therefore, comes from God's intention for humanity to live in relationship, not in loneliness. It was meant to reflect order, responsibility, and unity between a man and a woman. The foundation of marriage was set before human laws and traditions existed. In simple terms, marriage comes from God's creation plan. It is not a human invention, but part of how God intended life and family to exist. Now let's dive into the purpose of marriage. The purpose of marriage, according to the Bible, is far deeper than romance, chemistry, or a wedding day. Let's break it down clearly and biblically. 1. Marriage reflects God's design from the beginning. In Genesis 2:24, God joins a man and a woman and says they become one flesh. Marriage was God created, not man invented, designed before sin entered the world, meant to be a lifelong covenant. So the first purpose of marriage is unity, two lives becoming one under God. It is not just a contract, it is a covenant. 2. Marriage reflects Christ and the church. In Ephesians 5:25-32, marriage is compared to Christ and the church. Husbands are told to love their wives as Christ loved the church, sacrificially. Wives are called to respect and support their husbands. This shows the deeper purpose. Marriage is a living picture of the gospel. It demonstrates sacrifice, faithfulness, forgiveness, covenant love. Marriage isn't mainly about personal happiness. It's about reflecting God's love. 3. Companionship. In Genesis 2:18, God says, "It is not good for man to be alone." Marriage provides partnership, emotional support, shared life, mutual help. This companionship is meant to strengthen both people spiritually and practically. 4. Raising godly children. In Malachi 2:15, God speaks of marriage producing godly offspring. One purpose of marriage is creating a stable foundation for children, teaching them faith, modeling love and commitment. Marriage becomes a training ground for the next generation. 5. Sexual purity. In 1 Corinthians 7:2, Paul teaches that marriage is the proper context for sexual intimacy. God designed sex as good, sex as powerful, sex as covenantal. Marriage protects that gift. 6. Sanctification, spiritual growth. Marriage reveals your weaknesses quickly. It forces patience, humility, forgiveness, selflessness. In that way, marriage shapes you to become more like Christ. It is not just for comfort. It is for transformation. Now, why marriage still matters today? Marriage still matters because it represents a living example of covenant love in a world where relationships are often treated as temporary. The wisdom of Hebrews 13:4 reminds us that marriage should be honored by all people. This means marriage is not something to be treated lightly or entered into without understanding its weight and meaning. In a society where relationships sometimes end quickly when emotions change, marriage teaches faithfulness, responsibility, and endurance. Marriage also matters because it provides emotional and social stability. A healthy marriage can create a safe environment where love, trust, and security grow. This becomes especially important in raising children, shaping values, and building strong families. Another reason marriage matters is that it reflects the love demonstrated by Jesus Christ. The relationship between marriage partners is often compared to covenant love, love that is patient, forgiving, and committed even in difficult seasons. This kind of love stands as a contrast to a world where relationships are sometimes based only on personal satisfaction. Marriage also helps protect the heart from living in emotional instability. When built on truth, commitment, and wisdom, marriage encourages maturity, patience, and responsibility in how people love and relate to one another. But here is a question many people rarely ask. What happens when marriage faces brokenness, disappointment, or emotional pain? Does the purpose of marriage disappear when love feels difficult? The answer may challenge everything we think we know. We'll explore that in the next video. Now, if you found value in this video, like and subscribe, and turn on the bell notification. Also share this information. Someone might also need this insight.